Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to go ahead and get started with our weekly webinar. My name is Alicia. I'm a partner here at Fourlane, and I'm really excited today. We have an outside guest with us. So today I'm going to share with you our law firm industry along with Fuel Digital. It's an integration between QuickBooks and Filevine, and we're going to talk about all the things that make this a really successful option for our clients. If anyone, which hopefully no one has missed it, but if anyone has missed our previous webinars, any of our recordings and things like that, you are always able to go find those on our Fourlane YouTube channel. So that is youtube.com/Fourlane. So make sure that you sign up for that. You can subscribe, and anytime that a new video comes out, you'll be notified. And also, as a reminder, you can use that as a video, those videos that are there as a resource library for all kinds of different things. So go check it out if you haven't. You are missing out. I also want to let everyone know you can connect with us via our Facebook group. That is Fourlane QuickBooks Enterprise. That's our Facebook group, if I can talk today. We have a lot of things that are happening there, some really cool things that we share, but also we always like to, or sometimes we like to ask questions, and we always like to get, tips or things that our clients are needing help with. So join that, and we look forward to kind of helping you there as well. Okay, so our on-demand support. I want to make sure that I remind everyone about this. It is, it's not new, but it is newer to what we've been offering to clients. And I will tell you that I've had a ton of clients say how grateful they are that we offer this, just because, when you call sometimes support service lines, you can be on hold for quite a while without any solutions. And so, this is something that we are excited to bring to our clients. It's an on-demand support service, so it is $25 a month for QuickBooks users, for up to 5 users. If you've got 6 or more users, we discount that price to $20 per month. And it is something that you can take advantage of as you're learning, or if you're new and you just new to QuickBooks or new to finding out Fourlane, just to see kind of building that relationship. So everyone, we encourage you to participate in that. All right, what's new in 2023? It is going to be released before you know it. Next Wednesday is already September. I can't believe it. So we've got our very own Marjorie Adams. She will be hosting a webinar on September the 7th. And then again, it will also take place on September the 14th. So 2 opportunities to learn what's new. We want to make sure that we're able to touch all of you. And again, if anyone finds something in that 2023 that they are ready to implement, you can always feel free to contact us. We will be more than happy to help you get set up and going through all of those awesome features. And I'm telling you, they are going to blow minds, I promise. All right, so I am again going to say thank you for Mark. He is joining us today with Fuel Digital. And then I also have Kat, another partner here at Fourlane, and she is joining me as well. So I want to go ahead and pass this over to Mark. He is going to go through, we've told him that he's got to try to cut down his awesome presentation to get into our webinar. So Mark, I'm gonna hand it over to you and make you that presenter so we can kind of go through and see what all this is about and how to make our lives easier.
All right, sounds good. Very good. So I think everybody is now seeing my screen. Thanks for having me on today, by the way.
Yes, thank you.
What you're looking at here is Filevine. So we're going to start out there. Filevine, for those of you who do not know, is a case management system. I think Filevine is now up over 3,000 to 4,000 clients using it across the country. About 3 years ago, Filevine came to us with a problem. Filevine came to Fuel Digital with a problem. Filevine, outstanding. All the feedback on how it works, what it does. They've taken kind of the best of everything and wrapped it into one wonderful case management tool. The only issue is it does not do accounting. So some of these legacy systems that are not cloud-based, but Filevine is a cloud-based system. A lot of the legacy systems out there are kind of all-in-one systems. They both have the case management as well as the accounting. So 3 years ago, Filevine came to us and said, hey, we need an integration with accounting system. And since 80% of our clients at the time are on QuickBooks, we would like you to build us an integration with QuickBooks so that we can take those case-related expenses. So the firm pays on behalf of their client, and we need to get them over, check requests, get them over into the accounting system so we can make the entries, but also cut the checks. We also want to track trust accounting, and we want to bring in settlement deposits and then disperse funds out of that trust accounting tab. So we built the integration. We first built it on desktop, and of course it wasn't long. Someone came along and said, hey, we'd like to build it on the online version as well. But desktop was kind of our cornerstone and how this all grew over the last 3 years. We are at about 225 integrations completed. The integration, for the most part, we've had one go as fast as 3 days. We've had others take a little bit longer, mainly client, depending on when they're going live on Filevine, we try to time it just right so that they're up and running on this integration. In fact, we can implement the integration without Filevine actually being live, but we do need that accounting system ready to go before we do the integration. So that way you get to play with it a little bit, use some test data, send it over, and make sure everything's working the way you planned it. But anyway, we're going to start here in Filevine. Data primarily moves one way from Filevine over to QuickBooks. However, it stops about halfway on something we call the Filevine portal. It's basically a queue of all the transactions that are being sent over. So transactions are entered by the legal team here in Filevine. Then they're sent over to this thing we call the Filevine portal. This is where accounting picks things up. And accounting has an opportunity to review everything, group like items together, ask questions, do all of that. And when they're satisfied, they will send them over to make updates in QuickBooks. By the time this entry gets into QuickBooks, at that point, it's all QuickBooks functionality. We haven't customized anything in QuickBooks. We like to say we just get the data in the right bucket. At that point, the GL entries are made and the checks are ready to be cut. So one big advantage of this integration is you eliminate the duplicate entry that folks would have to do if there was no integration. You would need to get those transactions applied to the matter over here in Filevine, but you would also need to go in QuickBooks and enter the check request, or in the case of a credit card, maybe enter the credit card transactions over there. This takes all of that duplicate entry out of the way. So what I'm going to do. Yep.
I bet that is something that, people definitely get excited about, right? Because anytime we can eliminate data entry and we can automate, right? And that's the whole purpose of trying to get a seamless integration is so that no one's having to do duplicate work, right? So
Yep.
it definitely is a huge benefit there.
Yep, exactly. The other thing doesn't happen quite as often. I talked about expenses, and the firms get reimbursed for those expenses, so they're tracking them here. I talked about trust accounting, and settlement check comes in. We need to make disbursements. There are funds held in trust, so at the end of the day, we need to be back at a zero balance once all those funds are dispersed. But there are some firms who actually use Filevine to process their operational expenses, and they'll add a separate template or a separate tab. And what that allows them to do is they need less people in the accounting system, and they can distribute the workload to other people to push the enter the data into a special template just for operational expenses, and then push it over to QuickBooks without needing to actually go into the accounting system. So it's only the accountants that are in the accounting system. So we see that from time to time as well, but primarily you'll see these expenses and trust related transactions going through here. So why don't I get started? We'll go with probably the most basic transaction. We have an invoice that someone has sent us for some services associated with this matter that we need to pay on behalf of the client. Again, the client will reimburse us once settlement is reached, but it's easy enough. I am on an expenses tab here in Filevine, so I'm tracking all my expenses across time. It's easy enough. A lot of firms, so the simplest implementation we do, all expenses go to one account, advanced client cost. So we're tracking in an other current asset type account, so we can keep track of all of these. We know how much we're owed at the matter level. We know how much we're owed across the firm. Simplest is anything coming out of here is advanced client cost. But we also have the ability to track things at the item type level, go down to sub-accounts by different types of categories like court filing fees, things like that. My demo environment, everything's going to advanced client cost. For a check, of course, we're going to need a payee, so I'm going to use my friend Marty McFly, LLC. Payees here, when we go through the integration, they could be looking at the vendor list over in QuickBooks, and there's a matching that goes on there. And this integration has the ability to match and actually create new if it doesn't find a match. So we'll take the contact card data that you see here, and on the fly, we can create a brand new vendor. If Marty didn't exist, we can create it on the fly, so you don't have to do it manually. Of course, there's the obvious challenge there that if it's Marty McFly in the vendor list, not Marty McFly LLC, then we have a problem, because if you have us do this automatically, we're probably in all likelihood creating a duplicate vendor there. So some people want to reject. If we reject, it will come back to that Filevine portal and red line, but it will tell you what the problem is, so it makes it easy enough to address the issue. Amount due. I need to know how much I'm gonna be paying Marty, and in this case, we're gonna pay him $25. There are a lot of things going on here, but only one more field to enter, check memo field. This check memo field will show up on the face of the check. It'll show up on check stub, but as important, it will show up as your general ledger transaction description. In our integration, we saw a number of clients in every transaction entering two things: the client's name and the client's case number. So we do that automatically, so clients don't have to do it, and it's configurable if they don't want to do it. In this case, I'm just going to put in here pay invoice 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. That's everything I need. There are a number of other fields on here, some included in the integration, some that are not. But we have the ability to customize this and send over more data than you're seeing here. For instance, if you use classes over in QuickBooks, we can accommodate that as well. Just one of the types of things. We can also send over transactions that have already been paid with a credit card, but we need to get the general ledger entry made for that credit card expense. That can be done from here as well. But in this example, we're just going to send over a check request. So all we do, click this Start Task Flow button. It does two things. It saves it to the matter here, and it sends it on its way over to QuickBooks. At the bottom here, you're going to see this update as we go through the transaction. All of this updates automatically. So even if you don't have access to the accounting system, or you don't feel like contacting accounting, you can always look at these fields and it'll let you know exactly where that test or that check request transaction is. So I'm going to hit close here. We can see at the top we've added it, and now it's in that total amount due to firm when we settle this case. So I'm going to jump over to the portal real quick here. I'm going to hit my refresh sort. Lots of information going on in here that we track about this transaction, date added, who requested it in case I have a question. I'm bringing the client's contact information. There's that memo field I talked about where we've added the matter number and the client's name. We have a hot link here to link back to the transaction in Filevine. So if you have a question about it, you can't get a hold of Mark, you can link back. We'll open a new tab, open Filevine, find the matter, find the transaction. We take you directly to it so you can look up whatever you need to look up, get your question answered. We're bringing the payee information with us, the contact card information. And like I said, we have a flat ledger, so anything coming out of expenses, we're going to book on the debit side to advanced client costs. So we're making that GL entry automatically.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I mean, this is bringing over, and the way that y'all structured this, sometimes more information than other integration tools bring over, right? Sometimes it's very limited. And the fact that y'all have opened this up and you've kind of already structured it in a manner for the industry, right? That's very important and powerful. So you're not having to go to do any customizations. It's already out of the box for them. So I think that's awesome.
That's right. Yeah, and a normal demo like this will take about an hour to kind of show you all the features.
Right.
I'm hustling a little bit here, but you can sort and group by any of these headings. If I was interested in say I had 100 transactions and I wanted to process the credit cards, I have a keystroke filter here where I can filter down, and we look at every field here to try to pull out just those transactions I'm interested in. And as you back off, everything comes back. But this is where it's a great way to review, let accounting review, ask questions so we don't get garbage data in QuickBooks. We want to keep our accounting system pristine. We consider the accounting system the source of truth. I mentioned before, when we send over payee data, we're going to be looking for Marty McFly as a vendor, but we're also going to be looking for client name in your customer list, and we're looking for a match. Underneath that customer, there'll be an associated job. We're going to be looking for that matter number as the associated job. If we don't find those, you have two options. Just like over on the vendor side, we can create both of those automatically on the fly, or we can reject them back here and tell you we didn't find a match for this client. So then you would have to investigate, maybe it's a new client, and would have to set it up. So you have plenty of options, plenty of out-of-the-box configurable options to make this work. And then, of course, on the credit side, now debits and credits, we're talking about money going out the door. So we have things, our cost, our operating bank account that we're paying our expenses out of, our trust bank account, our credit cards. We can have one to many of all of these. We can also send over a transaction as an accounts payable bill. So we set it up as a QuickBooks bill, just like you entered it manually, just like you enter any other kind of operating expense as a bill that you want to pay at a time down the road. We just set that up and map it. We can add write-off accounts here as well. A lot of clients, they may not get reimbursed for all their expenses, so they end up moving the money out of the asset account as that advanced client cost and moving it over to an expense and a write-off account. So we can support that here as well. And then, of course, if we have 20 transactions all to the same payee, that payee sends in a statement, only wants one check. We can write one check and include multiple transactions on that one check. In this instance, though, we're just going to process one transaction for Marty McFly. It's an expense, so I'm going to pick my cost bank account. All I need to do is hit next. One last screen that says, hey, no kidding, we're about to update your accounting system. Everything looked good. Everything that you selected, you expected to be here, is here. If I think it is, I just say, I hit submit. I return to queue to make sure I didn't get any of the ugly red lines, and I did not. All I need to do is jump back over here, and there's my transaction in QuickBooks. So let me make that a little bit bigger. Make sure. So no double entry. I've already made all the GL entries, and it's sitting here. And we've matched up with Marty McFly LLC. And on the matching, we match, and when we find the match, we use the QuickBooks vendor record. Again, the accounting system, QuickBooks, is our source of truth. So this is the address out of QuickBooks. Here's our memo line. If you had a stub, here's the offset account that we hit. We've assigned it to this customer and this job number, and this client has chosen to make this transaction billable. So we can make it billable, we can make it non-billable. We have all sorts of options here on the customer job setup. We've seen some very unusual things in the customer field. Usually it's just first name, last name, first name, but sometimes we'll see the name, maybe the state, maybe someone's note to themselves to remember to do something. So most important thing or a tip I would give someone if they're getting ready for this integration, it's all about the data. When we're sending things over, matching up that data between those contact cards in Filevine or whatever your case management system is. I mean, we're demoing Filevine, but we've integrated with other case management systems. But making sure that data is nice and clean and consistent is really helpful. But we've done a number of other things. Some people use class lists instead of a customer list. Some people don't use customer job numbers. They just use the customer. So all sorts of ways, pretty flexible right out of the box that we can do this. Let me go ahead and get this paid. I'm just going to print it the old-fashioned way, one at a time, straight to my desktop.
And while you're doing that, you said something that was really important, and I think that is where Kat, you could potentially come in too, as we help people do implementations and integrations and things like that. What in our partnership that we have, right, with Mark, I mean, we're able to really help clients see the full benefit that they can get, right? You can use Filevine for the case management tracking and doing that, but then based off of how we set up and structure QuickBooks, you can really get like the best of both worlds, right? Do you have some examples and things like that that you could talk through?
Sure, and I think that's one of the reasons why we've worked so much with the Field Digital team on quite a few of these implementation projects, is because they kind of saw the benefit of having a partner that really focuses on the QuickBooks implementation side like we do, and then they can kind of focus on the Filevine implementation, and then we can work together to make sure that we're structuring that integration the best way possible, right? Because Field Digital's built a great app. They have to have those inputs of like where these need to be mapped. And sometimes you ask a client, right? I'm sure Mark, you've asked them, where does this need to come from? And they're like, right? So we can help them get to that answer. One of the more complicated ones that we're working with right now, right? They have, it's a large multi-firm organization. Each one of those firms has multiple locations. So there's a lot on the integration side, but they also have a couple of other smaller or smaller divisions of their multiple organization company, right, that are more on the property side. They don't have anything to do with the Filevine Field Digital side, but because they're moving their accounting into QuickBooks, they need to talk about how to get those up and running too. So I think that's also where we've helped out. And that's probably one of the more complicated ones that we've seen since we've started working more with Mark on these projects. But you know, it's an important piece that sometimes they're using another accounting system to do the property side. Sometimes if they're moving from, you know, a different case management or practice management software that has that accounting piece, they're wanting to get, you know, an all-encompassing solution in place. So you know, we kind of handle more of the QuickBooks training and reporting and getting it structured the right way and understanding how that Field Digital integrates with QuickBooks kind of guides how we can help, you know, help the client through that process.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, I'll ditto that answer. Working with the Fourlane folks, we really do come up with a very efficient setup that not only takes care of the accounting side, but also works with this integration pretty seamlessly. The one that you're speaking about, where they have multiple companies, QuickBooks companies, one of the challenges is always determining which QuickBooks company do I send this transaction to. And a lot of that is determined in the portal, that midway point, by the bank account you select. But you got to know which bank account you're supposed to be selecting, and some of that depends on which location is it, or what state is it in, or which office is it. And of course, that goes back to Filevine. And to your point, we ask, well, where should I pull, what list should I pull the location or the office or the state, that list, because that will tell whoever's viewing in the portal, oh, it's from the Richmond office. So I know that it needs to go to this QuickBooks company, so I'll pick this bank account. So we've had several setups where there are multiple QuickBooks companies. We've even had them where we have some on desktop, some on online. It just takes a little bit more planning and working with folks like Fourlane to get the setup right, but it's all very doable. And we haven't run into one yet that we weren't able to take care of, for sure.
That's
So.
awesome to hear. That's really cool to hear, right? So I
Sure.
know we have 1 minute left. Kat, I'm going to ask you if you could, and I know I'm giving you a test. So guys, if y'all are on with us and you can hang out for maybe a minute or two, I want to, you know, let Kat kind of tell us what was one of like your favorite workflows or favorite kind of clients that you were able to help them see the benefit of the integration and using, right, the Field Digital like application. Can you kind of share with us the story?
Sure. I mean, I think the biggest piece, right, is time, and also not just from the manual posting standpoint, but anytime we can get a successful integration, and whether, I mean, the Field Digital folks, they have a fantastic app that integrates Filevine and QuickBooks, but even other applications that we've looked at and implemented integrations for, right? It's not just about the time that it takes to do the manual work, which is part of it, right? That's a huge, people are like, oh my gosh, you spend 5 hours or 1 hour or 2 hours, or how many hours it is every day doing this, right? It's also cutting down on the time that you have to go back and chase those mistakes, right? They're having to make sure, like in this scenario, right, that they're putting the right information to the right case, the right amount, the right payee for that specific expense into Filevine. And imagine if they have to turn around and re-input that same exact information into QuickBooks, right? The chances that they're going to get it wrong at some point during that process are going to increase. And then you have two different systems that you're trying to reconcile together, and you have to, then month end becomes a nightmare and all of those things. So I think, anytime we can help in those areas, that's always when people are like, oh my gosh, I love this, right? This is just everything so much easier. I feel like I have time to get all of my tasks done that I need to get done now. And I don't have to, you know, work 12-hour days during month-end close because I'm chasing down all these errors.
Right. Absolutely. Well, thank you. I know I put you on the spot. I know that we are over a little bit. So I just want to say thank you again to everybody. Mark, thank you so much. It's such a cool application that you created. And the ease is just like, I hope everyone hears this and starts taking advantage. I'm going to remind everyone we've got that What's New in September the 7th and the 14th. And then let us know what else you would like to learn. And then I just want to say thank you again. I hope everyone has a wonderful day.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks
Thank
so much.
you.
Thanks, Mark.